This video is going to go out to YusefAlTahir. Thank you so much for all your video responses. I have not had a chance to go through all of them yet, and you probably see why. But anyway, just to let my YouTube audience know, after this video there will be an Italian lesson tonight, and so hopefully Yusef, if for some reason I don't get around to doing it, slap me in the face, because it needs to get done. I'm very bad about being lazy, I can tell you that. Yes, you are absolutely right. I'm probably one of the strangest people that has ever lived on the face of this earth. That is a high compliment to me. So yes, I agree. I'm pretty strange. I'll give you that one. And I'll tell the whole world, I admit it, I'm strange. Okay? So, anyway, without further ado, now I will also tell you that the winner of the Video Response Wars contest will be announced tonight, as well as the Italian lesson. So, anyway, I went through one of your videos, not completely all the way through, but I did go through quite a bit. When dealing with Farmer Bob, let me tell you something. Farmer Bob has never heard of Eastern Orthodox. I've heard of it. I can't say I'm that familiar with it myself, so if you want to elaborate for Farmer Bob, that'd be great. He really needs it. I definitely agree when you say that Mary and Joseph were in a cave when they had Jesus. Yes, well, they weren't exactly in the cave. They were actually on the top of the cave. The cave system worked like this. Now, you have to keep in mind, the reason I tell you this is because of Farmer Bob. Farmer Bob thinks that when you go into a cave, you're going to see a bunch of stalagmites and you're going to see bears. No, not these caves. When you went into a cave like this, the top layer was where you had your animals. Why? Because it was very easy to get the animals out into the open during the daytime and then bring them back in to put them down for the night. The lower part is where everybody would live. Okay? And I'm sure it didn't smell all that great. It probably would have been a lot warmer in the winter and probably a lot cooler in the summer to be in the lower part than in the upper part. That's why Jewish houses are built the way they are today. Well, I don't know about today, but even back then they would have been built where there would have been a level up on the roof, and then there would have been a level on the inside. Same type of deal. Anyway, when you tell Farmer Bob about an inn, Farmer Bob thinks of a Super 8. Okay, Farmer Bob, let me clear this up for you. There were no Super 8s. There were no Kentucky Fried Chickens. There were no Subway restaurants. That didn't all exist. Now, as I said in a previous video, when you're talking about people in their shoes, shoes would have consisted of more of a, it would have been a wooden type of shoe with leather straps to hold it to your feet. And when you're talking about roads, they would have been more like cobblestone roads than actual paved roads like we have on the U.S. interstate system today. A lot of people don't know this, but that's true. And a lot of times these people didn't exactly travel on the roads, because to travel on some of these roads you would actually have to pay a tax. So it would have been a lot cheaper to have not been on the road than to be on the road. And this is something that Mary and Joseph might have faced as they were trying to get from Nazareth to Bethlehem. Now keep in mind that Joseph and Mary had relatives in Bethlehem. They were not natives of Nazareth. They moved to Nazareth. Okay? They lived their lives in Nazareth, but their family came from Bethlehem. Very important to know. Now then, I agree when you say that Mary probably was not at the 9-month mark when she started out the journey. By the time she got to Bethlehem, she probably was at her 9th month. So a lot of these people that think, well, she was 9 months pregnant when she started her journey, probably not. You got to keep in mind how long that distance was, whether you're talking about the Bethlehem of Galilee or you're talking about the Bethlehem down south. Doesn't matter. Yes, there were 2 Bethlehems. I found that out. And thank you for telling us that, Yusef, because just about the time I found it out was also when I also watched your video. So from 2 different sources, we now know. Anyway, So there are two Bethlehems, and there's been some controversy as to which Bethlehem was the right one. We're not, if you want to get into that, that's great. Let's do it, but let's make sure Farmer Bob understands all this. I'd like to show people where the two Bethlehems were. Say, okay, this is where Bethlehem was here, and this was Bethlehem down here, so on and so forth. So they get this idea of what the journey would have been like, what kind of terrain they would have been covering, what these roads would have looked like, etc., etc. So it gives them a better idea of what they've been facing. Okay. When it comes to Robert Price, I've barely heard of him myself. Farmer Bob probably has not, so you might want to elaborate on who Robert Price was or is. Okay. I hear it all the time. Jesus didn't exist. Jesus didn't exist. Okay. We have four theologies. The Jewish theology, the Quran, okay, that would be the Arab theology. You have the Roman pagan theology, and you also have the Christian theology. None of these theologies agree to the divinity of Jesus. None of them do. But they do agree on one thing. Jesus did exist. And based on that, when you have four theologies that can't hardly agree on much of anything, but they all agree that one man exists, that's pretty solid proof that the man existed. Now, I know there's a lot of other things that'll prove it, but that usually works for the small atheists. The bigger ones, you have to go through a lot more work, but the small ones, that seems to work pretty good. So it's not a matter of whether Jesus existed or not. The only question that's left after that was that did Jesus always tell the truth? And if Jesus always told the truth, and Jesus validated the entire Old Testament, then that means God exists, and these atheists are in a bunch of trouble. So I try to get these atheists to start focusing on the second question about the honesty of Jesus rather than the existence of Jesus. The existence of Jesus is verified. Now let's get to how honest he was. So hopefully these atheists will start focusing on the second question rather than the first, and we'll have some pretty decent discussions. Anyway, I've never heard of the Council of Nicaea. I've heard of Nicaea, but not the Council of Nicaea, so if you'd like to elaborate, I'd love to hear what you have to say. I've heard of Ignatius myself, but I really couldn't tell you much about the guy. I've also heard of Antioch. I couldn't point it out to you on a map. If you want to point that out to all of us so the Farmer Bob will have that as well, that'd be great. What the topography of Antioch would have been like, what kind of pagan worship was going on that the Christians would have to battle, so on and so forth. That way, Farmer Bob gets a better understanding of what's going on. Now, you go telling Farmer Bob about a barn. You know what Farmer Bob pictures? Yes, the American barn. It's red, it's wood, it's big, it stands out and everybody can see it, that kind of thing. That would not have been the case with what was going on in the nativity scene. Also, people have taken pictures of mangers from the real nativity, and it looks nothing like what people picture when they go through the nativity scene. That's not, what they see as a manger is not a real manger. It almost looks more, the real kind of manger almost looks like it's pottery type thing. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like it'd be made out of stone or something like that. Hardly what you would find in a traditional nativity scene here in the United States. So, a lot of things to help people picture as we continue our nice little studies. If you're wondering, the reason why I teach about threads of mystery is because I have a lot of people that play these Facebook games, and it's a way to get people, if we can attract them with the Facebook games and the solutions like that, then maybe they'll want to study my educational videos, and they may want to watch something like this. So it's an enticement. The same thing with the Looking for Lincoln Heritage Coalition. That was a way to entice viewers to my channel. If you want to promote my channel in any way, shape, or form, one of the best ways is to let people know about the free tourism that's represented with the Looking for Lincoln Heritage Coalition. I hope you check those videos out. If you'll go to my main channel page and look under the Abraham Lincoln signs, you'll find out what I'm talking about. It's really cool stuff. And this is something that a lot of people will be interested in right now, because this is the 150th anniversary of the reading of the Gettysburg Address, which you probably may or may not have known. Definitely Farmer Bob doesn't know this, but he will start hearing about it in November. That'll be a big talk. There you go. So, wow, a lot of information there. It's not so much that I like to read, it's that I have become really good at it because I speed read now, and I have sped read Harry Lorraine's memory book, so I learn rather quickly, and that's fun. I'm just not one of those readers that just sits there and casually reads. Just not that kind of person. I go in, read something, and I'm done. So, but I do like to learn. There's no question about it. I do actually like to learn. I like to learn a lot of things. And boy, have I ever. So I want to thank you for all your information. If you do get a chance to watch some of my educational videos, please give me some feedback. I'd like to know if Farmer Bob is really getting the picture like I think he's getting, so on and so forth. I definitely want to hear more feedback from you. I don't do Skype, but if you'll add me to Google+, there's a Hangout thing we can do. And Facebook has a way to do webcam stuff too. I didn't know whether you knew that or not, but it's true. Anyway, I'm going to take an afternoon nap. I need a nap. Yes, I'm silly, I'm strange, that's what I am, but I'm lovable. What can I say? Yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling here, so I really need to get off. I will tell you more in a future video, so I hope you stay tuned.